What did the rubab say? In the circle of Da'wat of Hazrat Hakim P. Nasik Khisrao, Mankabat is recited with the music of the daf and the rubab. This tradition started around 1,000 years ago. In this long span of time, this sacred tradition has acted as the school of divine love
and Surah Israfil,
through which countless Ismailis of this area have attained the grace of devotion and love for the rightful Imam. Thus, according to the people of insight, it is a special favor from God, for which we must be grateful, lest God will for us a time in which we are deprived of this wisdom-filled tradition. The following event occurred in Yarkand, China, when this humble dervish was passing through the stages of spiritual revolution. In this period, one evening, during individual zikr, I started to play the rubab, which consists of 6 strings, of which one is extremely low, 2 medium, 1 extremely high, and 2 medium high. The power of God is very astonishing and wonderful, that when I started to pluck the strings with the plectrum, some of them started to speak clearly. The extremely high one said, "Barayedin, Barayedin, for the sake of religion, for the sake of religion." And the 2 medium low strings repeated the name of a miraculous personality. I was bewildered by these 2 events of this spiritual miracle. Indeed, in this miracle of Imamat, there are many allusions for the wise people. And in this miracle, there was also a prophecy about my future. Early in the morning, on time, I went to Jama'at Khana. Riyazat and Ibadat had been performed as usual, and the members of the Jama'at had gone to their homes.
but Qabul Akhund,
who was a great Mu'min, came to me in the Jama'at Khana and said, "Gujam, my Khwaja, some people have come outside." From his sad tone and face, I sensed they had not come with a good intention. I finished the additional dua and tasbih and made a last prostration and came out. I saw a group of opponents numbering between 40 and 50 in front of the gate of the Jama'at Khana. They had come to arrest me. The reason for this was that before we, Janab Fateh Ali Sahib and I, went there, the Jama'at used to practice taqiyya, i.e., used to practice Ismailism secretly, and there was no Jama'at Khana anywhere. But as soon as we had constructed several Jama'at Khanas in different places, the Ismaili Jama'at came out into the open. This created the misunderstanding among some people that Nasir al-Din had come to start a new religious movement. To make matters worse, some important members of our own Jama'at were also against the construction of Jama'at Khanas, and they opposed me vehemently, that is, forcefully. God knows that after I had seen the spiritual miracles of the Holy Imam and had experienced the ecstasy of the overwhelming power of spirituality, I was not afraid of any danger. I confronted the leader of the party with courage and fearlessness and asked whether he had acted against the Ismaili Jama'at and Jama'at Khana or not. He denied this in a very weak and trembling voice. After a while, a man with a rifle also came there. He was very sturdy and tall young man, and all who saw him stood up and shook hands with him with great warmth. My conscience, which was ecstatic with spiritual wine, commanded me, "If you are going to be arrested, then be like a lion and not like a goat." So I stood up from my place and tried to snatch the rifle from him, but he held it firmly. I almost managed to get the rifle, but the people saw the danger and attacked me, and with great difficulty freed the rifle from my hands. I am greatly amazed at this event and wonder how such a great power came to me that it required many people to confront me. It is also a matter of amazement that if the rifle had remained with me, what would I have done with it, because I did not have any plan. After solving the problem of the rifle, the attackers tied both my hands behind my back. I was arrested and was now in the hands of enemies. They now had to take me away somewhere. On the way, a worthless person who before the revolution was a servant of my spiritual brother and friend Aziz Muhammad Khan, kicked my back and was abusive to me. But others condemned him for this act and forbade him from repeating this treatment. Believe me, at this time my body was full of power of additional souls, so no such hurt could affect me. Yet I do not know why I complained to my Lord about this arrest and humiliation. In response to my complaint, a sacred and majestic voice said, "You should have patience. It is not your hands, but mine which are tied. Glory be to God, how great is this favor." Our local Jama'at was perhaps considering how to solve this problem, but how could a true lover like Kabul Akhund be patient? He followed them even though it jeopardized his life. Near the long bridge over the Zarafshan river, whence the path of Yarkand, Karaglik and Kutan, I was tied to a pole. I continued to recite violent slogans of Allahu Akbar and Ya Ali again and again, and there was no room left for anything like fear in my heart. Due to the tightness of the rope, it felt as if blood was trickling from the fingertips of my hands. But there was now the spiritual miracle of patience and courage in me. It was also a trial that I suffered from a severe thirst. When I asked them for water, they refused to give me any, just as the people of Karbala had been denied it. Poor Kabul Akhund, under his unprecedented zeal for sacrifice, wanted to come closer, but the opponents threw stones at him to keep him back, but he retaliated by throwing stones at them. This dervish remained tied to that pole for 3 to 4 hours. During this time, the opponents conspired with those doing forced labor on the road and applied to the authorities to execute me. Then they handed me over to a police station on the other side of the bridge, where for the second time in my life I experienced abuse and light beating. But when I told them of their injustice and oppression, they kept silent. It was autumn, and the night was long, very cold and frightening. But there are divine favors on the mu'mins and the mujahideen of Islam. Thus, during this time of trial and tribulation, the voices of the spiritual world conversed with this humble dervish. I felt that a tempestuous fountain or pillar of voices was rising from my personality and surrounding the universe. In this there were those furious voices which, according to the Quran, are for the people of hell, and those compassionate ones which are for the people of paradise. God knows why I had the childish audacity to say, "O Chief of the Souls, here you are conversing with the entire universe. Where is a bit of time to spare to converse with this humble entity also?" So the sacred voice started to say, "It is never so. We always have time to spare," and instantly a strand of pure and sweet voice appeared from the center and started to converse with me, while the center continued its work without any interruption. It was now morning, and I was taken back to Yarkand. On the way back, in the middle of the journey, we had to stop at an office. It was already evening, and this was the time when I used to observe great spiritual miracles and secrets. At this time, the miracles of the fingers were very prominent. This was an indication that just as the tongue of the friends of God has spiritual help, so also spiritual help is given to the hands. After a while, 2 Momins of the Jama'at of the village brought the decree of release from the authorities, and by the grace of God, I reached home safely. There were only 45 families in the village where I lived. They had unanimously applied to the authorities that their religious alim should be released immediately. Further, responsible officers of the government should come to the village and investigate why this injustice and persecution had been perpetrated against the Tajik Jama'at. The word Tajik is a form of Tazi, Arabic, and is used for the Ismailis of China, Russia, and Afghanistan. In short, some responsible officers from the headquarters of the local government came to our village, Krongu Tugrak, and their investigations continued for 9 days. They then issued the decree that the Tajikis, Ismailis, are independent in their religious matters and are a separate group from others. The sacrilege of their Jama'at Khana and attempts to take possession of their community school was an injustice, and that despite that decree, if anyone tried to harm them or their beliefs, the government would take measures to punish the guilty. Your servant, for knowledge, Nasir Hunzai, November 1980.